Okay.
We got recording so we can start the regular meeting.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, welcome everyone. This is the Historic Preservation Architectural Review Commission, Thursday, June 3rd. Following the public hearing. We don't have any minutes to approve. They were delayed, and they'll be submitted along with the meetings for today's meetings, minutes for today's meetings that we'll review and approve in July. And Jackie was traveling for family issues and didn't get them quite done. So we're going to move into the first application, which is the one we just left. Presentation and possible action on a request by Merrill and Susan Johnson for the demolition removal of 2 existing accessory structures and the construction of a new accessory structure and carport. Property is located at 113 Dewey Avenue, Sussex County Tax Map 335-8.11-129.00 R-4H contributing. So here we are again. Welcome, Mr. Johnson, to the second meeting.
Madam Chair, if I can just clarify a couple points that was brought up at the public hearing in reference to in public view. Yes, this accessory structure is located near the back left corner of the property. But if you look at our definitions, it does meet the criteria for in public view. Yes, there's a fence there and it's way back in the back, but if you stand at the right corner, you can see this building. So just for clarification, I understand the building is back in the corner and it's not like predominant right up front. I understand that, but I just want to clarify that that is why this application has come before this commission.
Great. Thank you, Robin. All right. So at this point, we can continue the discussion about the demolition, or if anyone has anything additionally they'd like to add to that before we vote. I believe we have to vote on this before we entertain any discussion about the applications, right? Robin? Robin, your mic is off, Robin. You don't have your, okay, thank you.
I know, I was trying to type an email to the next application because I don't see them on the attendees yet. So that's why I was.
Okay.
That's probably more a question for your solicitor to ask about how we proceed. But normally what would happen is if there's no more discussion on the request for the demolition, that would be an item that would be brought up for a motion.
I could make one more point.
Sure.
It is correct that it is visible from the street, but if I replace it with the shed that I'm talking about replacing it, it'll be exactly the same view. It'll essentially be a metal roof that you can see from the street because it'll be replacing the existing metal roof at approximately the same location and height.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments anyone would like to add, and then I'll call for a vote?
Okay. Do I need a super majority?
Absolutely. That's just how it works. Yeah.
Brian's point of delaying this for some more information, is that
well, it's really based on if we in a situation where we felt we didn't have enough information to vote, such as somebody requesting the demolition of a whole historic house, and they were claiming that it couldn't be jacked up, it'd fall apart or something like that. Right. We would be able to hire professional people to come in and look at it independently of who the owners had retained. And we have done that in the past a couple of times.
And then I just have one more silly question and I'll stop asking questions.
No, that's okay, George.
And this is either to Robin or Brian. If we deny demolition of the structure, is Mr. Johnson still able to move that structure to another part of the property?
So,
Or is moving it considered demolition?
well, there's also, so the section that deals with this also deals with removal. All right, we're moving it to a different area than where it currently sits. Okay, so that is that would still need to be considered by the commission. But Mr. Johnson hasn't requested to have it moved to a different location. So bear that in mind.
And there really is no other location. It's a small lot. I can't see myself moving it anywhere else because there's really no place for it, to be honest with you, other than where it is. Maybe I could get rid of the plastic shed, maybe move it a little bit to the left, but I think it would be cost preventative in my mind.
How about locating the new shed in a different location?
Well, the problem is, I'm going to follow up with that. All accessory structures by code have to be at least 3 foot from the rear and side yard property line and at least 10 feet from any other structure on the property. So having Mr. Johnson move this shed and allowing him to build other accessory structure would probably not fit.
Somebody's, I don't know whether we're gonna have to mute everybody or not, because there's a lot of echoing going on.
Well, we got Commissioner Burton on here twice, so maybe that's what it was. He was,
Oh, okay,
he was on here twice. So,
okay.
so again, without knowing the particulars exactly about, because that's not on this application tonight, moving that shed to another spot. Don't know if Mr. Johnson could get the 10-foot requirement from potentially 3 big, because the new shed's going to be a little bit bigger. So trying to get 10 foot from the proposed carport, the new accessory structure and the existing accessory structure, and 10 foot away from the house might not be feasible.
Yeah, and I'd like, if I could chime in one more.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
If I can't do the shed, I'll probably revisit the garage that you guys approved 3 years ago when we first came in. That my wife and I pretty much decided that was just an overwhelming structure back there. I don't know if any of you remember, but we had applied for and got approval for a 2-story single car garage back there, but it was just took up the most of the backyard. That would fill all my needs, but it was just so overwhelming. We decided not to build.
It's not that much bigger than your shed. Put in here.
Yeah, I think it's the location more than the actual size. It's because this is behind the house where the garage was to the right of the house. So you had like a small alleyway to another section of the backyard where it would still be there. So
according to your site plan that you submitted, let's see, the carport is 12 by 21. The shed is 10 by 20, and the
I believe the old house was 26, and it was the maximum width that we could get from the house, which was 10 feet off the side of the house. So I think it was 26 deep and
yes, it was 26.
16 wide.
It was 12 feet wide, I believe.
12.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
so.
Mr. Johnson has submitted in some of your documents, there is some part of the submission that shows what was approved several years ago.
Yeah.
It was 12 by 26.
Okay.
12 by 26.
Yeah. So my point was that if I can't get the shed, I'm going to start thinking more about going back to the garage. I would prefer not, and that was much more.
Let me throw out something to you that occurred to me, and I'm not in any way trying to design your project for you, but sometimes ideas come to you. And if instead of doing 2 structures, you did a garage, whatever size you wanted it, in the location that you wanted it, which is the same area as the carport, and then you attached the shed to it, so you had a single structure. And you kind of just moved it over made it as big as you wanted, when you're combining the two structures, you can make, you can design it to how it's going to work best, whether because the garage was originally in the location the carport is now, it's not visibly large because you're looking at the short end of it.
Mhm.
So
I'm-
even if you made it,
I'll
you
rethink
could
all of
play,
this.
you could play with the length of that, and then you could decide what size, whether you wanted to take the same shed size you have now and attach it to the back, the side, but all the way into the back. Then you would not have any of those 10-foot requirements because it would be a single structure.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, what I really would most likely do is build, if I got, I guess would have to get the garage reapproved. But so if I don't get the shed, my likely application will be to reapprove the garage, and I'll just leave the shed as it is and let it fall down, basically. I mean,
Well, think about what I just said, because you can pick up a lot more storage just by doing a wing. You would attach it not by making it wider, but attach it perpendicular, to the garage. You could pick up a heck of a lot of storage that way.
Yeah, my storage, the garage will satisfy my storage needs because I'll have the second floor up there. And we really like to have a vegetable garden as well. So there's a place for that. So, and then not that your proposal or idea would circumvent that. I'd have to see it on paper and come up with some better, see exactly what we're talking about. But
Well, talk to a good designer or architect or somebody who can. And the other thing that's really important, and we have this throughout our guidelines, is that you've got a neat house there. There's a lot of neat architectural features in that house, and the shed and whatever buildings and structures you build should sort of replicate or have a lot of similarity, so it looks like it belongs on your property with the
I
house.
concur
Right.
completely.
I
would
think
hope-
that's a good point, Barbara, because when I visited your house and the property, I was impressed with the details on the windows. You don't usually see windows with those details on a house like the one that you live in. And I thought, well, if you're going to build, when you were proposing the other garage, they should look like they go together, and they don't.
Well,
So
hold on, it is going to be the exact same siding with the exact same trim. I didn't want to put windows on the front of it because of security concerns, because I'm going to have some valuable equipment in there. But I certainly could put windows and match the existing house. So not only would the siding and the trim match, the wood lap, I'll put a couple of windows in there to match the house, and we'll do that if that's what it takes. I mean, I certainly can do that. And that structure would look very similar to the house. Same wood lap siding, same trim around the windows. I'll use the same grid pattern on the windows. It'll have a nice dormer on the top, which will have white trim on it. That'll bring some light in for me. So I am very attuned to the desire to create an environment. I mean, you came to my house, you see that I've tried to achieve that. If you walked into my backyard, you saw what our backyard looks like. That's my baby. I mean, I'm out there every day plucking the roses and cleaning everything off and chasing the birds out of my vents. So I don't want to do anything that's not going to fit nicely. And I think that the carport with the Bambi Airstream in it is going to be the crown jewel, to be honest with you. I know you guys may not think that, but I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was thinking that when we were just talking, I was envisioning going back to the garage, to have the garage replicate the pitch of your roof and all the materials, and then that would leave the rest of the yard completely open.
If I build the garage, then could I demo the shed and get some green space back?
Oh, we're gonna do a trade?
I
No, I don't have a trade.
would
I don't
like
have a
that.
trade.
The problem with, here's the problem with the garage. every time what I did was I put markers out in the yard at where the front corners of that garage would be. And from our patio where we have our little cookout area and stuff, the entire backyard will be the face of that garage. Yes, there's a 10-foot space that would then allow visibility to back to where the existing shed is, but it was all I could think it was going to be way overwhelming. And that's why I mean, heck, I spent $5,000 to get that thing designed and architectural drawings and have it all approved. I mean, believe me, I'm throwing away $5,000 not building it. So I made this decision because of architectural desires to keep it a little cleaner, to make it not so overwhelming. The garage or the shed that I want to build, yeah, it's 10 by 20, but it's tucked away. It's tucked away. I mean, it's 3-foot offsets. It's completely behind the house. Virtually nobody will see it other than what they can see from the street now. And the carport won't be that visible either. And a carport is airy. It's not like a big solid structure like a garage would be. So that my goal was to create a blend-in environment. It's not just about square footage. I mean, heck, I wouldn't have bought this house if I wanted a big cookie cutter square footage house.
Okay, well, I guess we should vote on the demolition and then we can proceed. Anybody have anything else to say before I ask for a vote?
Madam Chair, I would just ask that the bases for each vote for each of the commissioners just be explained and put on the record.
Okay.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Brian, could you say that again? I can't hear you.
Commissioner Franz, I just asked that each commissioner state their bases for their vote.
Okay.
If you can refer back to any of the ordinance, or that would be good. Okay. I need a motion on this request. The request is to do the demolition. So the motion, I believe, Brian, the motion should be in favor of the request. Is that correct?
That would make it easier, Madam Chair, yes.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion in favor of the request of demolition? Joe?
I'd like to make a motion in favor of the demolition of the request by Mr. Johnson to demolish the existing termite infested shed in his backyard.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And now we're going to go around and everybody's going to give their reason for this vote. Joe, you made the motion. You get to go first.
Madam Chair, can I stop you for a second? Because I
Yes.
need to speak to, ask Brian something. I understand we're probably dealing more with this contributing shed, but there's also a request, there's that plastic shed that is non-contributing. I don't know if it's really, does there a need to be, to include that in?
Yes. So if that's going to get demolished, it should be included in the motion. I will say that, because it's a non-contributing structure, it doesn't look like a specific hearing would need to be held for that.
No.
And you would just need to use your guidelines associated or the ordinance sections associated with demolition of a non-contributing structure, which primarily deals with the streetscape. So, because it's in the backyard.
Is that plastic shed on a permanent foundation?
No.
No, then
You
it
just
just
remove it.
goes out with the garbage. That's
Well, it could actually be taken apart. It came out in sections. It's, it's a Sears or.
right.
plastic.
So then I don't know if that would qualify as a structure, but
Yeah.
It's
a structure. It's a structure. I think we should just include it
just
unless.
to be safe, Commissioner Thomason.
But again, if Mr. Johnson would still prefer, even if for some reason the contributing structure gets denied, if he still wants to take away his plastic shed,
Should we do two motions?
I'll keep it. That's, if I can't get the shed, I need that to keep my bikes.
Okay.
I'll keep
All
that.
right, gotcha,
Can
gotcha.
I ask a question with regard to the plastic shed? Is that visible from the street?
By the
Yeah.
definition, yes. By
is.
definition, yes.
Okay. All right, that's my question.
Well, I think Mr. Johnson is okay with putting them both together because I think he stated if he can't remove the contributing shed, he's not going to remove the non-contributing shed. If I heard him correctly.
If that's the case, then the motion should be fine as is, correct?
Just to note that.
The motion only includes, the motion needs to be changed to include both sheds, right?
Correct, and
Once-
I think Commissioner Hockner said yes, and I think I don't know if Commissioner Burton seconded that amendment.
Second.
Okay,
So the motion, it would be in favor of demolition of the two accessory structures, the one contributing and one non-contributing structures on the property.
okay. Joe, you get to tell us why you're voting for the demolition of the two structures.
I'm in favor of demolition of the two structures and the fact that the blue termite infested wooden structure has probably exceeded its lifespan, and the cost to lift, renovate, rebuild, refoundation it is just beyond its value. I know it's historic, but its time has come. Thank you.
All right, and Randy, you seconded it. You get to vote and with your supporting comments.
My vote in approval of the demolition of this structure is directly related to the fact that if we stand in the way of the removal of this structure and the replacement of a structure that will enhance the property, we will all pass by over the years to come. No offense, Mr. Johnson, as he allows the building to deteriorate in the backyard to the point that there's nothing left there. And there's nothing that we can do to prevent him the free right and will to allow that to happen. And he's come before this body and he's presented a case that he's repeatedly told us in 2 subsequent meetings. And he's demonstrated through the drawings of his carport that he's a willing preservationist that wants to do the right thing and will bring us back other drawings that shows us that he's building a adorable little building out back that meets all of our criteria and exceeds our criteria. And so, although I have rifled through every page in here, I can't give you anything other than the definition of demolition by neglect. And it's in our definitions. And the way I see it, if we don't approve this, then that's what's going to happen. So let's work with this citizen of Lewis to enhance, which clearly he has. His property is absolutely beautiful. I meant no offense by my comment earlier that was interrupted and then moved forward to a different discussion. I wasn't saying his property wasn't historic, but I don't think that this shed carries any historic contributing value moving forward. If anything, it's going to go the opposite direction.
All right, thank you, Randy. Who wants to go next? Bill?
I'll go. I
No,
have to ask
I mean,
question.
Landon.
Lynn, okay. I need to ask you a question though. If you're talking, let's just say we date this 1920s, 1930s. Okay, we agree it's a contributing structure. 1920s, 1930s is contributing structure, right?
Right.
Not after 1949 or whatever.
That's
So
right.
I look at this and say, okay, our charter really is to preserve. And if any way this structure can be preserved, that's what we're chartered to do.
Mm.
Otherwise, if we tear them all down, we're going to have Rehoboth here. We're going to have a town that had charm and had the old buildings, but they no longer exist. And when you walk down the street, what you're gonna see is a whole lot of modern, large buildings and say, where is the historic Lewis? It won't be here anymore. So we have a charter to look at them one by one as they come to us. And if we continue to say one by one, get rid of it because there's a couple termites hanging around, I'll tell you, I know from experience, I'm working with it right now, that can be preserved. So in my heart, and as a part of this charter, to preserve, my vote is to preserve this building. It's contributing structure. It can be seen from the street. It's not very large, so I know it's not going to cost a million. But whenever you're preserving, yes, it does cost more. But we make that choice to live in a historic district because we think it has charm and we like what we see. So therefore, we do have to pay more. I mean, someone told me when I restored my house, put a match to it. Well, I didn't put a match to it. I restored it. And yes, it cost me a whole lot more to do that. But I don't know how many people walk down the street and say, hey, I just love your house, Bill. But I'm getting a little off target. But I'll tell you, since you can see it from the street, since it's a contributing structure, it needs to be preserved. And so therefore I take that position. It's a historic structure in our town. If we get rid of them all, we won't have it. We shouldn't have a committee then. We could say we're the modern historic commission. That's what we should call ourselves if we get rid of all of them.
Bill?
That's my say.
Okay, and you voted?
I vote to not demolish it.
Okay, thank you. And Phil Franz?
Yes, I started off by thinking that this small building deserved, and historic building, contributing building, deserved to be restored. And listening to everybody's comments and wondering if there shouldn't be a study of how by a person who designs buildings and can put things together and meet the program that the owner of this property requires or wants. But I continue to vote for the preservation of this structure.
Thank you, Phil. Michael?
Yeah, I as I stated before, I started off sort of questioning the structural integrity, but after listening to everyone and reviewing our charge under City Code 197-59, our major task or our major mission here on HPARC, given the fact it's a contributing structure, is to preserve the property as the primary criteria. So I would not support demolition.
Okay.
It's one of the few outbuildings around town that are still standing.
Right.
So,
Right.
anyway.
And I think everybody's voted but me, right?
Yeah.
George has.
Oh, George, I'm sorry, George.
That's right.
George.
I gotta tell you, I'm really torn on this one, but the bottom line is I feel the answer has to be no, because it's in our charge to preserve historic buildings in the city of Lewis. So.
Thank you.
So for the very reasons that Michael and and our chairwoman and Bill have expressed, I'm going to have to vote no.
Okay. And I too need to vote no to the demolition request. And in addition to what I read earlier, which is which is 197-56A7, there's a whole list of 197-59A1 through 5, all refer to preservation, restoration, etc. So for that reason, and I'll tell you, in addition to that, is that I see an alternative. I see an option there that will satisfy what your needs are. And I believe it's going to be less expensive, but who who knows for sure? And especially in today's market, you know, all that goes out the window. But, you know, I, you know, would like to continue with this conversation about, if you like, about the other structures you were proposing, to see if you want to brainstorm what other solutions there might be.
Well, I'll have to reconsider everything at this point, so we'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right, so then, Robin, I believe that ends this discussion application if Mr. Johnson doesn't want to discuss the other items.
No, I'd like to
Correct.
still talk about the carport if possible.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a lot of hope for the carport at this point if I can't get rid of a leaning over shed, but hey, let's give it a try.
Okay. Do you want to say anything to us about the carport?
I designed it to fit in with my backyard. That was my goal. That's what I've tried to achieve. It's not nearly as dominating as a two-story wider or two-story garage that had been approved. So this is more to be smaller and less overwhelming.
Why did the garage have to be two-story?
I wanted a second floor for storage, since the Airstream would take up the bulk of the first floor.
And so you were going to carry your kayaks and everything up on that second floor?
I was going to do a mechanism where I could have them lifted up there, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the kayaks, they're 19 feet long, but they're only 30 pounds.
Oh, and you don't think maybe a one-story garage and put the money into a wing that would slip behind the garage?
Like I said, I got to reboot now, but I would still like to see if I can get the carport.
All right, okay. Who would like to start with any questions about the park area? Michael.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting concept. If I recall, I think this is the first time, at least under the newer ordinance for HPARC, that the commission has had to review a carport. And I think that tonight's discussion, will set a precedent. I did a little bit of research on various websites and codes for certain areas across the country, and then looked at our criteria. And I think one of the things Mr. Johnson did quite well with the submission is sort of blending the compatibility of the basic structure in relationship to other structures and roof pitches on the street. One thing to note is that the structure that is presented in these particular plans sort of ties into a design which is more geared towards the garage sort of shape. And what I sort of noticed too, I think at the last meeting, there was reference made to the structure that's down near the over the falls for the ship that's down there. Mm-hmm. And this parallels that design in a way. And during my research, what I sort of came across were similar sorts of concepts. And I don't know whether you guys can see this, but in what Mr. Johnson submitted, the gable portion of the structure, I believe, was sort of open. And that would be one possibility. But some of the other things in other historic districts across the country, there's sort of like an enclosure type element there. Mm-hmm. And this particular piece, or this particular example, there's actually fish scale siding in there that would sort of replicate what exists on the current house. Mm. I'm very, very sensitive as well to Mr. Johnson's love for his garden, because I'm a gardener as well. And one of the other concepts that I came across that I thought was really kind of neat is the pergola concept. And this would involve, which is very non-obtrusive. It's more of a flat roof type of structure with the natural cedar posts. And I think reference was made to the fact that in the plan that was submitted, the columns would be stained to match the fence. This was another sort of option that I thought would blend in very, very nicely and sort of play down, you know, having a much larger structure on that city lot. So anyway, I think it's a very, very interesting concept, and I think that the basics are there to come up with something that's workable at this particular juncture that fits in within our parameters and within the streetscape, the existing streetscape. So,
Michael, do you think the drawing that's been submitted shows any of that detail?
well, what I think was submitted was basically, it's a rough draft.
And I had actually kept that open so it would be less visible from the street. I'm not opposed to doing
Yeah,
that.
it's a very rough draft. I mean, it just shows the basic columns, you know, here on the side, and then with the open gable, with the vertical sort of cross split down the middle. But it does, I mean, it does sort of match that first photograph that I showed you, if you were looking at it lengthwise.
Right. Well, so does it have a solid roof? Is that what
It
this
would be,
is?
I think what was submitted, it would be a metal roof to match the house.
Correct.
Okay.
And the same
Right.
would also be true with the arbor or the pergola type design.
Okay.
If you go with the garage, the carport with the gable roof, if the gable matched the pitch of the main house and also the trim of that gable roof matches any kind of trim is on the main house, they would go together. They would complement each other. They would make the design of the house stronger. So especially if it's painted blue somewhere.
And I think if the trim on the columns were painted white to match the corner boards on the house.
Mhm.
But-
But I think the drawing, though, doesn't have that same pitch as the pitch of the roof on the house, though, does it?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, that's great research that you did, Michael.
No, it's a very interesting concept. And here we are in the 21st century in a historic town, and we want to, you know, there's not a lot of info out there, but it is out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the important thing is that whatever structure goes in the backyard needs to replicate a lot of the characteristics or angles of the roof or whatever. So it looks like it belongs on that property and complements the house, and the house complements the structure. So.
Right, I
okay.
agree.
All right, let's go back and let me see who else wants to say anything. Joe, do you have any questions or comments?
I do. It's basically the construction of the carport. I'm looking at the fact it's got 6x6 columns holding up the roof, but I'm wondering, and probably Robin will get to this later on if it's approved, are there hurricane straps attached from the roof, attached to the columns, and then when the columns reach the ground, what's keeping the whole structure down in case of hurricane? Is there a foundation? Is there some way to anchor the posts into a foundation? What's the structure of this?
They'll be in footings. They'll be in
Footings, anchor bolts.
strapped, and the braces on the side of the columns as they meet the roof structure, they give it the hurricane proof. But I'll be putting hurricane straps on, whatever the permitting requires for hurricane proofness. I'll double down on. I mean, I don't want
to anchor this down. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and the columns even need to be anchored to the foundation in the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
As was stated, this will be handled through when if approved, the building permit is issued. So all part of the 2012 code would need to be applied.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not going to cheap out on that. That would not be my goal.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. George, any comments?
No, I don't have any comments.
Okay, Randy, any questions or comments?
No.
No. Bill?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I liked that first drawing that Michael had there. And I'm trying to compare it in my mind to what Mr. Johnson wanted to do. And I wonder what his reaction is to that first drawing that Michael had researched and shown us, because I like the design of that.
I'm not opposed to it, and if that's what it takes to get it done, I'll do it. My goal initially was to minimize its presence from the street, and I think keeping that open achieves that. And as far as matching the house, I was thinking more in terms of matching the fence, because that would also minimize its presence. If I paint it white, I paint it blue, it jumps. If it's stained to match the fence, it's earth tone. And if it's opened up through I'll paint or either get manufactured metal roofing that's silver that matches the house, or paint it to match the silver roofing that's on the front porch and on the side of the house. But my goal was to keep that open so it would be less intrusive. And to meet the comment about the pitch of the roof, I'm not opposed to the steeper pitch, but that is going to raise, it's already a pretty tall structure because I got to have about 10 feet 6 clearance. But if I change that pitch, that's going to be it's going to increase its presence in the backyard. So like I said, if closing the gable end in with scallops works and white column works, hey, I'm in. If keeping it less intrusive by a lower pitch, the pitch is going to be pretty similar to the pitch of the front porch, and there's a very small addition to my house on the right side, which also has the metal roof, which has a less of a pitch. It'll be closer to that. So the pitch of the roof will match some portions of the house. The material on the roof will, if it doesn't match exactly, it'll be very similar, and the color will be very similar to the metal roofs on the house. And the goal was with the columns and the roof rafters to stain them to match the fence to minimize their appearance. So that's where I was thinking, but hey, I'll do it whatever it takes.
Thank you.
What's the width of your house? Is it about, it's not,
It's narrow.
it's narrow.
I
It's
think
not as
it's
wide.
maybe, I could probably walk it
Is it
off.
Is it as wide as the carport?
No, it's wider than the carport, but not by not much. It's probably, I got a tape measure right here. I'll put a tape on.
It's okay. That's all right. It's all right. Come back. It's okay.
Well, I can do it right here. So give me 1 second. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
All right, I'm throwing a tape there.
But it kind of looked at a glance like it might be about as wide as your carport.
About 18 feet, I guess.
My house is oh my God, it's 15 feet long.
15.
It's not a big house. And it's got very steep stairs up to the 3rd floor. I don't let my house guests drink and sleep on the 3rd floor.
No. Okay, so.
I just want to go back to the pitch. I think it would really make a great composition if you in the end do build a carport with a pitched roof. If the pitch of the roof and the trim of the pitched roof matches the house, it will be a great composition.
And I'd like to add as well too, I don't know whether this would be the case, but if the pitch were increased, that might also provide additional storage space above for kayaks.
Yeah,
For the kayaks, right.
I could probably hang a kayak up there, yeah.
You can put the kayaks on pulleys and just pull them up into place.
Yeah, I'd have to figure out how to do the collar ties, but yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
Okay, is there anybody else that didn't have a chance to comment or add? I think, if you're agreeable, I think trying to tie it into the house. Everybody seems enthusiastic about that.
So white columns, white trim, blue scallop, closed-in gables, and a pitch to match the house.
Yeah,
Or something close, something very
and you've
close.
already said you're going to do a metal roof that would match the house and then the other contributing out structure, so.
Yeah. Well,
And they have,
the house,
you can have
I
a
think-
floor up there and.
they're metal. They're not the exact same.
But they're,
Yeah.
it's not.
I think all of that sounds good, but I think there's a danger in not putting it down on paper and seeing if it really does all work.
Okay, can we
Yeah.
do that through the permit process? So can we come to an agreement
No.
that will, no, so I have,
I thought we can do it as a chair and staff, I think, Robin.
Yeah.
Are you good with that? Robin, your mic is off. Can you hear me? Robin,
Yeah, I can
yo,
hear you.
Robin.
I'm thinking, because again, as
Is it
I
too-
think as.
Is
as
it
I
too
said earlier-
complicated? Should we come
uh,
back to the whole commission?
As I was going to say, I don't know, again, this was probably more for Brian because, again, this is probably a new item. A carport has never been reviewed before. So again, I don't know if this could fit into the category of what it is as an accessory structure.
Hmm.
It maybe it's a possibility that, since it's all been added in and it's identified what needs to be done. I'm not saying I'm not comfortable doing a chair and staff, but just want to make sure we're not, going down the wrong path.
Well,
George has his hand up.
Yeah, I think that if the motion were made that the carport be approved on the condition that it match the house, that's a rather simple motion. And if under those parameters, I don't see why that could not be a chair and staff review when it's submitted, because the commission's already spoken. Right,
You think-
Brian?
yeah,
I would tend to agree. I think that would be a little bit easier than having to resubmit this, but
Yeah.
that's my two cents, Commissioner
no,
Thomas.
I think we should put a few bullets in there about the fact that it matches the roof, the pitch of the roof, the white trim, and
Well, Madam Chair, according to Section 19758F, HPARC may either grant approval with conditions, or deny an application.
So we can approve with conditions.
Yeah.
that we're approving with
Yeah.
conditions. Yeah, I just want to make sure that, we repeat it one more time so that Mr. Johnson we're satisfying his needs.
I got a pretty,
also.
I mean, white
And-
columns, closed-in gable with
Mhm.
scallops, that's gonna be painted blue.
Mhm.
The gable roof is to match the existing house, and the metal roof color will match the existing silver.
I don't.
So moved.
No, the columns really should be white along with the rest of the trim. I don't think you want blue columns.
No, white columns. Did I say blue? No, I thought white columns, white trim, blue scallop
Yeah.
side.
Right.
The only thing is,
And actually, the scallops, the scallops could be white, they could be blue. I mean, I think we're getting, a little too detailed there. I think that's, it's your structure. And I think the fact that it replicates a lot of the elements of the house is what's really critical.
yeah,
And replicating the white trim, the silver roof, and if you want to add the scallops, that ties it back in.
okay.
I
So
Also-
the color of the scallops will be up to my discretion. Is that where we're going with that?
We are,
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
They're a little too chachi, you make it too cutesy.
There you go.
yeah,
These are white.
But also the
that's-
columns need to be anchored down, but they also need to have a base and they need to have a capital. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but it has to look like it's supporting the roof and just doesn't end without a capital.
I'm not sure I know that term.
my-
What do you mean by capital?
Michael,
there's
can you
now-
hold the picture up again?
A top on the column.
Uh,
Hold it up higher, Mike.
Hold it up,
Okay.
Yeah, the columns will tie into the existing, to the roof. I mean, the column's not gonna stick up above the roof.
No,
No,
but
the-
it's
no,
a
no.
detail. It's a
Yeah.
detail on the column.
Oh, I see, the trim piece up.
Trim
Yeah.
out the top of the column. Yeah.
Okay, I can do that, no problem.
Just a point of information, just for 2 points. A, the motion, and B, my notes for the action notes.
Yeah.
We're talking about that the carport be approved on the condition that it matched the house. Then to include like sub-bullet, pitch of the roof matched the house, that it have white columns and scallop siding. And we're leaving out the blue part. Is
Correct.
that, I mean, do you want to get into that? And it must be anchored, all that in that? I mean,
No, that'll be code that Robin will take
Part of the
care of.
code.
so
That's part of the code.
for my notes, for the action notice and for the motion, do I have enough?
I think so. And then the roof was going to be silver, correct?
Yeah, I put that pitch of the roof to match the house and be silver. I may
To
reword.
match the color of the metal roofs on the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll tie it into the house.
Yeah, okay. Metal.
Does that have to be an exact match or a very close? I mean, it's roof manufacturers are gonna have colors and I'll choose the closest one.
Yes,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay,
That's fine. No, that's fine. Nobody's going to know.
okay.
Yeah, but, yeah, does okay, so that's the motion. Does anybody want to hear it again? Or are we all clear about what the
I'll
motion
second
is?
the motion if nobody has.
Yeah.
You need a second.
Oh, I don't think, yeah, yes, who made
I
the
guess
motion?
I did.
Phil? You did.
I'll second.
Okay, George made the
He's the
motion.
motion guy.
Joe seconded. Okay, and now we have to go around again, and everybody has to vote and then give oh, wait, Robin? Robin?
And again, I don't want to muddy the waters any further, but is that just straight coming in for a building permit now? Or does that still, we're going to require a chair and staff to verify?
Chair and staff, that was part of the motion, I think,
Yes.
in the beginning. I didn't cover that when I was, yeah,
I just want to clarify, thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to see a design.
Okay. All right. Okay, so George, you made the motion. You get to vote first and give
Okay,
your
well, I
reasons.
vote in favor of the motion. You know, I think tying it into the house is going to be really good as opposed to just what we saw tonight. So simply put, I think that's good.
Okay. Joe, you seconded it. You get to vote next.
For all of the reasons that George just said, I support this and voting yes.
Okay, Phil, do you want to vote next?
Sure, I vote yes also for the reasons that George stated, but also for the very nice and healthy discussions that we've had leading up to this vote. I vote yes.
Okay, Randy?
I'd like to thank Mr. Johnson for his patience and his willingness to work with the commission, and I vote in favor of the motion as presented by George.
Thank you. Bill?
I'm totally in agreement with what Randy just said, word by word.
Michael?
Yeah, because the structure is non-contributing, is in the Lewis Historic District, and shows general compatibility of exterior design, arrangement, and texture, and the materials used contribute to the established character of the Lewis Historic District. I vote to approve.
Okay, thank you. I too vote to approve, and I also want to thank Mr. Johnson for his flexibility. And I hope this gives you some of the storage up in that peak that you desperately need. And I also hope that, I think we've saved you some money, or we've not saved you money, but I think the project has maybe saved you some money so that if Bill Landon is willing, maybe you can talk to him about some appropriate, simple items to stabilize that
I'd be glad to.
cute little historic.
Yeah, I'll throw some money at that and I'll shore it up.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
get some ideas. I'd also like to hear about kayaks because I'm getting ready to buy one. So I'd like to grab his expertise in that area.
Okay, great.
Get an epic surf ski. That's what you want.
Oh, wow. that sounds
Here's your,
cool.
go for an epic surf ski V7. That's what
Oh
you
my
want.
Good,
goodness.
good.
And I have one, and I'll take, if you want to go paddling.
Let's hear it for Neckies.
All right, well, thank you very much, and that's a unanimous vote, and thank you again, Mr. Johnson, really
Okay.
appreciate it.
Michael, could I get you to email me or
Sure.
text me a picture of that thing?
Sure, I certainly, I can drop it off in your box, if that's okay
Okay.
too.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I appreciate it, and thanks for
Sure.
working with me, you guys.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, next we have get my other stack. Our next applicant, Coastal Cottage Renovations, or Stephanie, I see your name. If you unmic yourself, open up your mic, and maybe we can see you as well. Ah, there you are. Your mic's not on yet. We can't hear you.
There we go. There we go.
All right.
There we go. A lot of buttons.
A lot of buttons, yes. Very good. Okay, thank you very much. All right, so this is
5 Jefferson.
yes, I've got that. 5 Jefferson Court. Let me just read from this is presentation and possible action on request by Coastal Cottage Renovations on behalf of Kate and Pete Green for the renovations and additions to the existing dwelling located at 5 Jefferson Court, Sussex County, tax map 335-8.12-88.00 R-4H non-contributing. 5 Jefferson Court. Okay,
And
it's all
Madam-
yours.
Madam Chair, hey
Yeah.
Stephanie, before you start, Mr. and Mrs. Green are the attendees. Do they need to be unmuted? Do they need to speak, or are you gonna speak on? their behalf?
We're gonna speak, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
if they raise their hand if they have anything to say,
Okay,
then that's the
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay.
Robin will have to unmute them.
Yep.
Okay.
See if
So, gotcha.
Barbara, did you say contribute? You said contributing.
Non-contributing.
It is non-contributing.
Correct.
I just read it as non-contributing, didn't I?
Oh, I thought you said contributing.
Oh, thank you, Randy. So this is a 7-year-old house, new section of Jefferson Court at the end of Jefferson Street.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And as you can see, it's already kind of farmhouse-ish. Is that a word?
Yes.
Okay. So the new family that's moving in needs a little more space. So we're planning to add on a master suite, an owner suite above the garage. And so
Extend the porch
and
on the
extend the
back.
porch in the back. The porch right now is actually really very small, not terribly usable. So we're going to increase the footprint of that. And then we are bumping through a bedroom on the second floor to create an office space in the back of the house. So
And that's pretty much it.
this is one of our easier ones.
Yeah.
Well, except that the roof angles were pretty challenging.
Correct.
Well, yes, because basically what we're doing is we're chopping the top off of the first floor garage and going up for a second floor, and that's where our master suite will be.
Right, but that little 3D that's on sheet A001, that really helped visualize what's happening with that little
yes.
office
Yep.
area and that other little space and
Yep.
yeah.
Some interesting
Because
roof.
Yes, it is. That was very creative and challenging. Yeah, because the elevations, you can get lost in the elevations unless you have a 3D.
Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
You know, you're trying to figure out why is that angle going in there and stopping, you know, but
Yep.
that's good. Okay, well, I'm gonna let everybody else go first. So who would like to start? Don't all jump at once. I'll call on you. George?
This house is right across the street from mine, and I've been looking over these plans for the last several days. And I have also been inside the house when the previous owner lived there, and also in the backyard. And I must hand it to you folks. You come up with an absolutely, in my opinion, beautiful design. I can, without, standing in front with the plans there, I can actually visualize what it'll look like when it's done. And I think it's going to take the house, which is it's a very nice house, but I've always thought that this house was just too plain. It just, I don't know what it was, but the house, if you look at all the houses on Jefferson, they all have different characters, and this one was just kind of a plain guy.
Great.
And
Yep.
these, in my opinion, these designs will vastly improve the look of the house.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. We kept saying it just needs a little zhuzhing.
Yes.
Yeah, a little good. Exactly.
All right, Michael?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that this really does contribute to the streetscape and to the overall neighborhood. I noticed on the plans that over the garage area, there was an optional pergola. I don't know why I'm in these pergola things right now, but I really think that that's a nice
So,
addition.
Michael, can I stop you for 1 second? It's actually supposed to be on there. We were actually going to have you guys do a staff review of that after, because we ended up submitting the plans without it.
Yes, yeah, we got,
Well,
yeah, there was a PDF that had it and one that didn't, and we
Okay,
got the
well,
wrong one.
Yeah, that space is calling for a
Yes.
pergola.
Yeah, I think that really adds a dimension to that side of the house that really, it makes it
Thank
pop.
you. We agree
And-
completely.
And I also think that you also are proposing adding new windows in the kitchen.
Yes.
I believe, yeah, and I think that also adds a little bit more interest to an otherwise very nice house, but very, very plain and it's
Yeah,
current.
Yeah, just a big wall there, so
Yep.
we wanted to add some windows, get some light into the kitchen.
But no, overall, I just think oh, and the other thing I like your selection of the new doors, the wooden doors with the grids. That really is a nice touch. And you plan on painting it white.
Yes.
So we have to reviewing colors. I think that's cool. And you're going to use brown brown gutters. I'm sorry.
Yep.
No, overall, I think it's really, really, really very, very nice and will be a nice addition to the city.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Bill, Landon, do you want to go next?
Yes, I too like the design very much. I do have a couple minors. The windows, the existing windows are colonial, and it appears to me the windows we're putting in are Victorian. Was there an intent there?
No, the windows will be matching the existing windows.
Yes.
They will, okay. So
Absolutely.
They all match.
Yeah, they will all match.
Yep.
they'll all be colonial, okay. And
Yeah.
then my other minor was the steps off of the porch in the back. Was there a reason? Because if you go down Jefferson Circle and you look to that side, it's going to look like your exit there and steps down are going backwards. What's your thought? I just want to know what's your thought in the design of those steps going up to that platform and into the porch from that angle? Because you've got room in the back.
Sure. So basically, the elevations on this part here it's actually much lower than it's kind of showing. So we were sort of in the minds that we should actually maybe just turn them and walk straight up the steps there.
Yeah.
Is what
And
we
there's a
were
shower.
thinking. And then because they're to the right of that door, we hoped to do a shower
It's
there.
already there.
So
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
an outdoor shower
there's
right
an
at that
I'm sorry,
corner.
yeah, there's an outdoor shower that's there. So instead of them coming down, having to walk all the way around, we're just gonna go straight up with that.
Okay. I just wanted to know, did you think about a railing there at all or no?
No, it's below 30 inches, so we didn't decide to put a railing on.
Okay. I think it's definitely, you did a good job here, trying to blend that together and take that up 2 floors and design that roof line like that. Yeah, I think you did a good job here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Phil Franz?
Yes, I agree with all that has been said. I especially want to compliment you on the lights on either side of the front door. I think I wish we would get lights like that on a lot of other projects that come before us. They are so appropriate and they are so rich in detail. And that goes, and those comments go along with the rest of the house. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe?
Yeah, everything looks great. The only question I have is about on the first page, your boundary survey plan. What is the existing 30-foot easement? What are you on top of there? Maybe Robin would know, but wondering what's under there or what's the easement for? Anybody know?
Yes, that is the drainage line that goes out to Freeman Highway, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so it's
Runs through my yard as well.
oh, okay.
That dotted line around the perimeter of the structure, is that what you're looking at?
On the left, it's a diagonal from
Diagonal?
the left going diagonally up to the top right.
Oh.
Existing 30-foot easement,
What drawing are you?
Stormwater.
Yeah, that's it.
boundary survey,
Mhm.
surveyor. First sheet.
Oh.
Yeah, you may want to check the elevations of the pipes, be sure you're not piercing anything, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, we always get missed utilities there to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be underground before we do
Oh.
any type of digging.
Sure. Okay, I was just curious. Okay, looks great, folks. It'll be a nice job.
Thank you.
Randy?
I think that it's a great plan. I think it'll be a great addition to Jefferson Court. I have no issue with anything on this drawing. I would like to make a motion that we accept the plans as put together and submitted tonight in accordance with our charter. It follows and enhances the rhythm and scale, especially since the neighbor across the street is very delighted by it. We know it.
That's helpful.
Randy?
Improves the
Randy?
rhythm.
Oh, look at it every day.
Right, yes.
Randy?
I
Randy, could you
think
hold
that
up
the-
on the, can you hear me, Randy? Could you hold up a second? I haven't talked yet.
Oh, I thought you had started. Sorry.
No. I just have a couple questions. Number one, regarding the pergola. In the motion, you can include that because you have it on drawing SK09.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, yes, that would be
Yes,
great.
please. Thank you.
Yes, thank
that's your
you.
last sheet. And then my other question is, the windows, you've got 6/6, and then you've got, for the new kitchen windows, 2/2, and then on the side elevation, the north elevation, it's a combination of 2/2 and 6/6, and the
And that-
same
I
thing.
think
for
that
the west
may-
elevation.
North.
And all the elevations have a combination of 6/6 and 2/2. And just wondering what we're doing.
Yeah, no, we, I
Well, some
wonder
of
if
the,
that's just an oversight on his part when he's putting the
yeah, some
windows
of those
in.
are, I mean, he knows
When-
about the
yeah.
HPC, but so I'm just looking.
Because the only new window is the kitchen and the one above the side door, right? Next to the
No.
garage.
No.
There's everything on the second floor from your west elevation. Everything on the second floor is all new. North, everything second floor is all new, and then the triple window on the bottom is new.
Just the
And-
second floor, correct? Just the second floor?
On the
On-
west
On the
elevation.
west elevation, yes.
And on the north elevation, the second floor?
Everything on the second
To the
floor.
right. This is all.
I mean, everything on the second floor. I'm sorry, to all the way to the right, starting with those triples. So the triples on the top and the triples on the bottom that are stacked
Are
on
new.
top of each other. Those are new, and then the one to the right up top is new as well.
Why did you change
I don't know.
the windows from 6/6 to 2/2?
I don't know why he put those on there, but they will all match. That would be really
Everything will
weird.
match everything on there.
We will
and-
not put weird
Yes,
windows or
right.
change, have them look odd. They will definitely.
So the existing windows are 6/6 then?
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna match
They are,
those.
yes.
You're gonna match all of that?
Yeah, because we're not replacing them, so,
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
sorry, that was an oversight. We'll make sure the next time we come to you guys that
Yeah.
we take a closer look at the windows, but yes, they will all match.
Gotta watch those guys that draw stuff. And I just have a little aside comment suggestion. You've got true north, on your plans. You know what I mean by that? It's the actual north. It's not drawing north.
Okay.
A little easier to not have to second guess what elevation is which, because when the elevations are marked, they're marked north, west, and south, but they're the elevation north, based on elevation north. So you decide when you do your drawings which way you're going to call north. Like it could have been, you could have made it like right to left, and then we would have tied it back to the elevations directly.
Okay, we will
Yes,
make a note of that and do it on the next one.
That's
I
just-
agree with Barbara. It would have made, it was a little confusing reviewing the drawings, figuring out northwest, east. I'd say, in my mind, I'd said, oh, I know where the ocean is. That's east.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, it's just a little thing, drafting architectural.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So yeah, we'll definitely do it on the next one.
You do drafting north, not actual north. We got it. We figured it out.
Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion needs to say that all new windows will match existing or something like that.
What, this one?
The kitchen windows, though, those are casement windows. So those are different windows than the rest of the windows in the house. Any windows that are double hung windows will match the rest of the house. They have all double hung. But when you're in a kitchen, we're trying to get as much light in that kitchen as possible. So we're trying to make them so they basically sit on the counter, so you can open them up. You can't open up double hungs from the counter. So those will be a slightly different window there. The same brand, obviously.
Are you gonna select them so they look like a double hung? Are they gonna?
Yes.
Yeah, they have the check rail. Yes.
Yeah, check. And so then, is it still going to be just so it would have like 2/2 with the check rail, or would they be smaller panes like 3/3? I mean, so it looks so different than the existing windows.
Well, because it's a different window. It's a different size window than the rest of the windows in the house. So there's no way to do it like a 6/6 in that space.
If you can see.
No, I'm not asking you to do that.
Yeah, because these are sitting on top of the counter, so they're not going down as low. So trying to make that many boxes in there would be a little busy.
Well, suppose it was 3/3. Would that look better with the existing windows?
3/3? You mean 2/2 or 4/4? You wouldn't have an odd number.
Well, the top half of the double hung right next to it is 3/3.
No, that's 6/6. The other one next to it is 6/6. What do you think?
Yeah, just the top half. Just the top half. I think you
include
need
the whole window as a.
I think you need to go back and look at the elevations because it's such a contrast right now. So if you could just revisit that.
Yes.
So it's more complementary.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
And then, Kick, if we can still, I'm sorry, just to make sure that we do add the pergola in there.
Yes, we're gonna put that in motion, and we'll also put in the motion that you're going to make the new you're gonna adjust your elevations so the windows are consistent. Okay, so we just say it that way, and then you can bring it in for a chair and staff.
Sure.
But for the elevation with the north and the south?
No, I don't care about that.
Oh,
Just if you look at your elevations, every elevation almost has a combination of 6/6 and 2/2.
Oh, yes,
that's fine.
Yes, we will.
And so you're gonna modify, you're gonna correct that
Yes.
Yes.
to be what you want it to be.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Everybody spoke, right? I think it's a great design. The presentation was terrific. It really, really helps when we have elevations and plans and notes and, dimensions if needed and all that good stuff. But it was a good package.
But when it's a
Thank
big renovation, it certainly makes sense. Certainly with a smaller one, it's a little hard to swallow, $1,500 elevation cost. But in any case, this one.
Well, I'll show you how you can do a quick elevation sometime. so that we understand it and you're able to express what you want.
All right.
Sounds
It
good.
won't
long as you're
cost you
buying the
any-
wine.
Yeah, you're buying the wine. We're there.
No, you're buying the wine. I'm giving you the info.
Yeah. You also can assume a north for your drawings. You don't have to have true north. You have an assumed north, and that makes it easier to figure out north, south, east, and west.
You're absolutely correct. Yep.
Okay, all right, so we're looking now, unless that somebody has another question or comment, we're looking for a motion.
I'll let
Okay.
George take it because he'll deal with the more complex.
All right.
pieces that Barbara-
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really fair.
All
He
right.
has to write it down. Okay,
All right, because the application concerns a property that's located at 5 Jefferson Court, is non-contributing, uses previously approved materials, conforms with the rhythm and scale of the requirements, and is in the Lewis Historic District, I move that the application be approved as submitted, and that it also includes the pergola over the garage, and that the elevation of the windows will match the rest of the house. Did I get that right?
I think probably say the window grill pattern. Is that what we would call it? What would we
All
call
right.
it?
Details.
Window
That
grill
the
pattern.
window grill pattern
Be consistent, be
be
consistent.
consistent with the rest of the windows.
Just be
Okay.
consistent. The word consistent says that.
I like that.
All right,
Thank
may I
you.
have
All
a
right.
second, please?
A second.
Thank you, Michael. All right, George.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we go, I got just, could we clarify the materials for the pergola over the garage?
Oh, thank you.
And how far is that going to be sticking out? Because there's no side elevation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, so that's a good question. So, I mean, we don't like it to look dinky because otherwise that's
gonna
kind
be-
of weird. It'll
yeah.
probably be about 2 feet, 24 inches.
Wood painted
It'll be
white.
wood,
Wood painted
painted
white.
white.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I've got that for the action on.
Okay, thank you. All right, and Michael's, did you second it, Michael?
I did second, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, sorry, we still have to go back and get reasons for your vote. I should have done that. George, you get to tell us.
Well, I think that the design is going to add to the rhythm and scale of the rest of the street, and it fits with all our criteria, and it's going to be a great improvement. And I look forward to looking over that from my front porch for the rest of my days.
Just let us know when it's wine o'clock.
Oh, yeah. I'll call you at 5.
Mhm. Okay, Michael?
Because the structure is non-contributing, is in the Lewis Historic District, and is in harmony with the streetscape, is relevant to the facade treatment, height and proportion, I recommend to approve.
All right, thank you. Landon?
I recommend approval because it uses previously approved materials and it conforms to the rhythm and scale requirements as designed. The design's an excellent design.
Thank you. Randy?
In accordance with 19759 of the Historic District property criteria, this renovation and addition meets all of those criteria, keeping the rhythm and scale and making improvements to the streetscape of our historic community. So I thereby approve.
Thank you. Phil?
I vote approval for exactly what Randy just said.
Thank you. Joe?
I vote approval for all previous comments said. Yes.
Thank you. I too vote to approve. I think it's a very sensitive, creative design, and it satisfied the needs of the new owners. And in addition, it has enhanced the streetscape and the community. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.
Get to work.
Yeah, right. Very soon.
And don't make too much noise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And don't start before 10, right, George?
Yes.
Right.
9 or 10.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we have unfinished business, update, discussion, possible action on the resurvey of the historic district, phase 1 through 7. I have no updates still. I assume we're still waiting on the state for approvals. D2, discussion on future agenda items, training and workshops. I talked to Phil about this and we came up with an idea. I want to see what you all think about it, is that Phil has offered to look at different elements in the historic district on contributing houses that are unique to Lewis, such as the windows. So 1 month we'll set aside, we'll try and have a little segment of time where we can talk about windows. Another month, doors, maybe roofs, maybe certain trim, things like that. If you ever wanted to, you could go online and look. Old Newcastle has very detailed guidelines with photographs, and we can't really do that. The houses in Old Newcastle are much more pure in their design and their style, and they have a more formal flair to them. And I think Lewis is, although a lot of the houses, when they're built, if they've been pretty much just maintained and hardly modified, they still have the character of the period during which they were built. But frequently it's different. I mean, this was more of a rural community than Old Newcastle, which was kind of a stepchild of Philadelphia. So
Yeah.
it's not quite the same. And we can't take that, well, it's a Georgian house, and so it has to have these kind of windows and this kind of door and this kind of shutters and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's a little more schmoozing going on down here. So I've been wanting to do something like this. And when, you know, Phil offered, you know, in relationship to the house that we just reviewed, that wanted to do the carport, he was commenting on how beautiful the windows are, and would like to, you know, talk about windows in Lewis sometime. I think the other thing we could do even before that, if I can get it arranged, is the state does a workshop, and we could even get a virtual workshop set up for the periods of the Lewis structures. Not that they're going to know maybe as much as Bill Landon knows, but or Randy, but you know, I think it might be kind of like an overview that we then can go into the details of these structures and what makes them different or the same. And if that sounds like a good idea, just nod your heads. Okay, thank you. Okay, Randy, you're not nodding. You don't like the idea?
Oh, no, I was nodding.
Oh, you were? Oh, okay, thank you. So that's what we're gonna do. Anyway, and we'll try and I'll find out about the workshop and let everybody know, but see whether we can get it for next month or the following month.
I mean, the great thing about it would be to be able to have the photographs in the workshop and make it a field trip. So, because you're going to get a lot better language out of these buildings standing in front of them than looking at a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Do we have to be careful of what constitutes a meeting?
Well, it would have to be announced, and anybody who wanted to join in would join in.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I know Phil led a tour. We did a tour several years ago, and so it was public. Nobody showed up, but
Okay.
it was probably
checking.
because it was 95 degrees, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Dropping like flies.
But yeah, let's not
Yes.
do that.
I remember how hot it was.
Yeah. But we'll work on that. And I agree, you know, if you can possibly do it as a walk, but of course that takes more time, and you have to have pre-selected the houses so you can jump around from house to house and pick which one is a good example where, yeah, I don't really know how, if that we could achieve as much in the same time frame or not. But I mean, I like the idea of being in person. Okay, so next we have election of officers per Article 6. of the HPARC By-Laws and Procedures. So what we have is I'm currently chair, and no one has come to me to say they're dying to be chair, but this is your chance to jump in there.
I nominate Barbara for another term.
I second that motion.
Second
I
that.
third,
Quick.
fourth.
Unanimous. You're
Okay.
stuck.
Thank you. Now, I've had a chance to talk to a few of you, didn't get around to everybody, but I would like to kind of see if as many people as are able could take a turn at doing like the vice chair and the secretary. I think you do learn a lot being secretary. I think you just, you know, anytime you have to do stuff yourself,
You got to think about it.
get a picture on it. You do. So, so George has been a faithful person in that position for 4 years, is it?
3, I think.
3? Okay, all right. So I was wondering, George, would you like to nominate somebody else to do that?
Yeah, I'm going to nominate Michael Wilder to take my place as secretary. Yeah.
And is there anybody else who would like to also be secretary? No, I'm seeing no's. Okay. Michael, would you agree to do that? Oh, Michael. Now, George is going to have he said he's offered, I believe you said this, you offered to assist.
I will need George's
Yeah,
guidance. and,
I'll give you everything. I'll
transition
tell you
to
how I
the-
do it. And if you want to change it up, by all means, go right ahead.
Yeah, and
No,
so we're going to do a workshop.
With your support, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
And with Robin's support too.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and Vice Chair, Phil has done an admirable job, and I seek his counsel a lot of times. And he's gonna, I think this next little thing of trying to do these mini workshops and get ourselves, it'd just be easier, we'll be able to do a better job, is gonna really be good. So I would like somebody else to take on the vice chair, and I did speak to George about it. And he
I'd
said,
like to nominate George.
well, good.
I second that motion.
I
Okay.
second that.
Okay, good. And all in favor?
Aye.
And I didn't, and I did not, Randy, I gave you a pass because I'm just so glad in your busy schedule that you even show up to these meetings and you contribute. So it wasn't that I wouldn't value your expertise in any position, but
That's okay. I would have just turned you down flat and cold. So it doesn't really, I mean,
I figured that.
you could have nominated me if you wanted to, but I have the right to decline, right?
That's right, you do.
No, no.
And Joe, you're wearing a
Yes, you do,
planning
George.
hat. Yeah,
Both my years in subcommittees.
yeah. And you know, Bill Landon, I had promised him if he would participate as he does, that his personal life is pretty demanding. And I'm just, again, I'm glad you show up.
And Madam Chair, I'll follow up on Commissioner Landon with the commercial chair and staff reviews.
Mhm.
I think he had agreed to do that.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was, I couldn't hear you.
I
Robin.
couldn't hear it either.
Okay, right now we have chair and staff, you know, that I do. And since we did the combination with CARC, that means that we need to do chair and staff for the commercial properties that are in the town, but whether they're in the historic district or not, you know, we need to do a chair and staff for them. And so I did one, and I talked to Robin about, well, maybe Bill would be able to do that since he comes to HPARC from CARC. And he said that he would be fine with that. So far, we've only had one in what, how long have we had HPARC? 3 years, right?
3 years.
19, wasn't it 19? Yeah.
Mhm.
So Yeah, so there won't be a run of them, Bill. And if you're not available, I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay, great. No problem.
All right.
I have a question.
Yep.
Who approves signs?
Well, signs are part of chair and staff.
Oh, they are, okay.
And I've done that. Or if they're part of a presentation, a project, then we would approve it as
Right.
a commission.
I remember the review of the signs at the hospital. And in the past, I was part of an architectural review board, and I actually was chair. And that board reviewed signs and approved them, like we do chair and staff. They did them because signs, sometimes people want to get them up and in place and don't want to wait for a meeting. So they were reviewed as
Well, yeah, and we've done a few of those. We don't have a whole lot of signs that come our way. We had the awning for Dogfish, which I think has a sign on the end of it, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does.
So we did that, and then there was a sign that I did with Henry in front of it. Was it a real estate office or something else? But anyway, it's on Savannah Road, and they wanted to put a light in it, and we're not allowed to do. We don't.
I have to answer.
There's no
This is
light.
my mother calling. I have to
Okay.
answer this call. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Randy. All right.
However, keep in mind too, I come from a real estate development for shopping centers. Try to keep that quiet, but
Yeah.
commercial background.
Okay.
and I just want to say, I'm the one person that doesn't live in the historic district, and I'm here by appointment of the mayor and council.
That's right. And there are other commissions that do that as well. And one of them is the, Robin, is it the it's Lewis and Bloom, is that right? The Lewis and Bloom Commission?
I don't know.
Yeah, and that has somebody from outside the city who's been there a long time. That's Goldie. Forget his first name. Anyway, does a great job. Okay, moving right along. So the next was amend the HPARC bylaws and procedures, noting the new meeting date as the first Thursday of each month at 6 o'clock. I think we should hold off on this because if there's a possibility we're gonna be back in person and then we're gonna have to do this again. So, and then my other question to Brian is, can we just say shall meet monthly? Do we have to say the day?
For your bylaws?
Yeah, yes. Do we have
I
to
don't
say
see-
the day?
I don't see why you need to provide a specific date.
Okay,
I don't think that you would need to do that. There's no ordinance that requires you to do that. I think it's more of a scheduling thing with the city.
which sometimes changes, when we run into a holiday, we move it. If we have there's too many conflicts, we move it.
The concern I have about that is our requirements to say applications must be turned in 10 working days prior to the meeting. So how does the applicant know when you're going to meet
Right.
if we keep moving the dates around? And that was the problem.
But
Again,
you go on the city website to the calendar and it shows you when everybody meets.
but if
if
you're
it's-
not going to have.
And I don't think our meetings are going to be arbitrary. I think that we will be rather consistent. We're just talking about what's in the bylaws. So, you can have your procedures, which we have, and then we can have our bylaws. And the two don't have to be in sync necessarily.
Well,
We're generally consistent. We're not going to change a meeting just because we feel like it.
no, but we have changed it because of holidays.
Right.
And
Right.
and so now we've changed it in just a few months. We've changed it. This will be the third time.
But I thought that this new Thursday, the first Thursday was that we're settled on that's where we are going moving
Correct.
forward.
Correct. But we're currently at 6 o'clock, and when we go in person, I assume we're going to go to 7 o'clock, which is what we've always been in the past.
But is there a reason for that?
For going to 7?
Yes, because again, you're back to, you start later. Some of these things, we have 4 or 5 applications, you're 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I would vote for us to keep it at 6. Why would we want to go to 7 o'clock again?
Oh, maybe dinner? I don't know.
Randy, you're
I haven't had any.
I don't ever eat
dinner
until
would be
8:30,
nice.
9 o'clock anyhow, so it doesn't matter to me. So
And Phil has to, you know, he's like 20 minutes outside of town or something.
Yes,
So,
I'm getting to a point when I can't drive at night. And so I have already arranged with my wife to drive me to and from your meetings.
yeah,
everybody just froze but me.
Right.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Here again, I don't think the bylaws have to be that specific.
Yeah.
We can have a standard thing that we follow, but for the bylaws, I think if it says we meet once a month.
mean,
I think that's-
Where are the bylaws accessible for the public? How would anybody know what's in the bylaws? I think the calendar that is more public. You just Google the website and you can pull up the calendar and see where every meeting that's already set on the city's calendar is already there. Isn't that
and then
weird?
why wouldn't we just amend the bylaws to say the first Thursday at 6 o'clock?
Well,
Well,
that's,
technically, you can't veer off that if you need to change it,
Ah,
because your bylaws are very specific. That's why I think you need to paint the bylaws with a broad brush. I think when you get into specifics, that's our procedure. But our bylaws,
Yeah, and the most
Maybe not
recent
so
edition, which we,
well, they are procedures. It's bylaws and procedures.
Yeah. But the most recent
Well, then-
edition, just the most
Yeah.
recent edition that we approved back in February.
I would just advocate just keeping it simple, that say we meet once a month, but yet that we stay consistent with what we decide. And we certainly let Robin know if we're gonna change.
Well, he would be part of it. Michael, you were trying to say something?
Yeah, the current bylaws, the way they read right now, which were approved in February, state the HPARC scheduled meeting is the second Tuesday of each month to ensure timely consideration of applications. Public notice shall be posted at least 7 days in advance of the meeting. In the event of a conflict with holidays or other official business, the meeting shall be rescheduled and appropriate public notice of at least 7 days shall be made.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good.
So Brian, you seem to think,
Robin, when do we need to have applications submitted? 10 days in advance?
10 working days prior to the meeting.
The 7 days and the 10 days are not consistent. So if you're,
It
I
just,
see
well,
Robin's point and his concern.
it just says the public notice has to be put in 7 days, and that's just a requirement, no matter what, it's just a notice. But our 10-day in the ordinance is when the applicant has to have a completed application in.
and that's true of all the commissions that have applications. They all have applications due to give them time to put the whole package together and the agenda. And for Robin, it's only a week. He only gets a week to do that. But that's been pretty standard.
And unfortunately, like I've said in the past, sometimes at 3:55, somebody's running in the front door of City Hall throwing an application in, but right at the cutoff date.
Mhm.
And it makes it difficult to try to review that.
Mhm.
I mean,
The
it happens.
CARC had it, the submission had to be a lot earlier, Henry said. Didn't he get submissions like 30 days or 20 days or something?
Yeah, it was closer. Can't recall. It's been a while, but it's closer.
Barbara, did you say
It was-
that you wanted to put this off? Because I don't see that there's anything pressing about us approving this tonight.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
So
No, and
I would suggest or move that we table this item for our next meeting.
Further discussion.
Good idea, George.
yeah, I think so. And, and then maybe we can revisit one last time. Robin, maybe if you want to check with Anne Marie, or I can call Anne Marie to see what the protocol is for other meetings. But if anybody wants to go on the city's website, you can see where any, meeting, commission or committee is meeting and when. if you're interested, if there's no TV on that night. So, okay. And so next month, we're meeting on July 1st, a few days before the 4th. Is everybody going to be in town and available?
July 1st.
That's Thursday before the 4th. I just want to make sure.
I'm good.
I don't get to go anywhere.
You don't?
No.
Oh, poor George, poor George.
Poor George.
Yeah. Bill, you look like you're,
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I
okay.
was just thinking, I'm going to Virginia, but I'll be back before then.
Okay.
I'm
Bill,
good.
are you gonna be away or are you gonna be here? Right? Bill, is the first with you?
It's fine with me. We're going to have grandsons and daughter visiting.
Are they gonna be here the week before the 4th?
I actually don't know. They're going to be here for 2 weeks. I'm not sure
Oh.
what the dates are.
Okay. All right. Well, then there's no point in changing it. Okay. All right. Well, then we're just going to stay with that. And we'll do 6 o'clock. And then the other thing that I just got emailed to me today, I can run this real fast and then I can send it back in, is do you believe that the commission board you chair is ready to return to in-person meetings? Options are yes, no, maybe. Everybody who says yes, raise their hand. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. And then the next stuff is what concerns do you have that you would like us to consider as we plan to return to in-person meetings? Number 1, ability of the public to social distance from each other. Ability of members and commission board to maintain distance from each other. We don't have a room big enough to accommodate the members of the committee, commission board, and members of the public. Another choice. Members of my committee, commission board are not comfortable resuming in-person meetings. We don't check that. The public should be required to wear masks. We need hand sanitizing stations. We should limit the number of members of the public that can attend in person. And then there's an other. I wanted to check other and put that you have to have your shots to attend in person.
I don't think,
All right.
I don't think you can get away with that.
Yeah.
You can't get away with that.
They are at all the universities.
Brian?
I don't pretend to be an expert on this area of the law, but my initial reaction is I'd be a little careful about that one. That's all.
Okay, well, then I'll just reinforce that if, anyone not, and this is the protocol that we're supposed to follow. If you haven't been vaccinated, you wear a mask.
Right.
Fine, decent guidelines.
Okay.
Barbara,
Yes. Yes.
In City Hall, you may request that the spacing be accomplished by removing half the seats in the conference room. And, basically, once the seats are full, everybody crowds out the hallway, but, there's seating by basically removing the seats.
Well, that's how it is now. I had a short meeting in the city.
I don't know. I haven't been there.
A couple weeks ago. Robin and I had a small meeting and everybody was masked and we were all, I don't know, 10 feet apart or 8 feet apart or something.
Good.
But yeah, they already have it. They've already taken most of the
Very
chairs
good.
out of
Okay.
there. So I'm
And
sure
there's also the large meeting room in the former library where we would be farther apart if it was going to be a public hearing and you knew that there's going to be a crowd.
Right. I think that would be up to the city to decide, and I think they're working on, where to have meetings. They have to make sure they've got all of the technology set up and it all works. And, they got a lot on their plate to deal with. Okay. So do you want me to check some of these about making sure people have social distancing?
Sure.
Joe's saying yes. Nobody
Yes.
else cares. Okay.
I had my shot.
Yes, yes, okay. Okay, social distance, okay. All right. I shall return this and see what happens. I know there's been a lot of conversation and, you know, some people are very concerned and they're not wanting to go back. They like Zoom or some of them. Oh, sorry, Bill, keeping you up. And, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I think that's about it. We have presentation of chair and staff.
Before you do that, can I just ask a clarifying question in our ordinance? Is there anything in here specifically about doors in the historic district?
I think there is, but not very specific. I think it's more specific about windows. But, and you know,
I can't hear
I
you.
think we also need to revisit lines. So I said, I think at some point we need to revisit the guidelines. Can you hear
Yeah.
me? Do you have your mic turned all the way up on your
I
computer?
can hear you now. You were buffering when you first started talking now.
Okay. So, so I think that's, you know, anything, jot down anything that you think needs to be clarified in our guidelines that hasn't been, such as doors. Right now, I don't think we have, I know we have something on
Yeah,
windows.
no, there's nothing
but-
on doors.
Okay, I didn't think so. Other than, you know, they're generalizing that the, all the architectural features should be compatible with the structure and things like that. It's a broader comment.
I think there should be something about preservation of historic doors. If you know, you just can't come along and change the front door on a house because you want to.
Or aluminum storm doors on an old house looks bad too.
Right.
Are you talking about anything specific, Joe?
That was Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Well,
Bill.
look-
Oh, Bill.
Look at the Cannonball
Oh,
House.
Bill. Yes, yeah, we just lost your
Oh.
visual, Bill, on purpose, maybe. Okay, so I think we can do chair and
No, I'm
staff.
back.
All right. Okay, Robin, you want to walk us through chair and staff?
Well, everybody got the report as usual. There were 7. We had 6 approvals and 1 denial. So most of them were, there was a couple of commercials in this, commercial buildings. The rest of them are residential.
So these, Robin, these, the chair and staff's only for those that are contributing, right?
No, it can be anything. They just have to meet basically the eligibility requirements of less than $50,000 for the project. Projects that have been similar or same that have been approved in the past, and using materials that have been approved in the past.
Oh, because I see houses in the area here that I don't see on your list, you know? They're getting work.
If they're doing work with the same materials, they do not have to have any review at all.
Okay, that answers it. Okay.
You know, such as
They're replacing-
maintenance.
Yeah, if they're replacing
Yeah.
asphalt shingles with asphalt shingles, they don't have to.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. All right, okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Barbara, I just have
before
a
we
quick
adjourn?
question that, when we are making a motion to approve or whatever, a application, we have specific wording. Are we staying with that? Because a lot of times I don't hear that specific wording. with
You're
motion.
correct, you're correct, and we should, it's on the back of our binder.
Mhm.
Is that what you're referring to,
That's
George?
the one.
Yeah, we should go back to doing that. And you're right, we haven't, and thank
Good
you.
idea.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's very important, and I'm sorry I didn't pick up on that. Okay. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right,
Second.
Thank
Second.
you, all in favor.
Bye,
Okay, have a
everybody.
good- Have a good evening. Thank you very much, all.
Bye now.
Thank you for joining us. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.